This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back. You are tuned into Salam Media via salammedia.com/listen-live, as well as on our audio stream and decoder. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are also coming to you live on the airwaves of Radio Al Ansari in Durban 90.4 FM and in Pietermaritzburg 105.6 FM. My name is Zahid Jalud, standing in for Inayat Wadi, and this morning we are discussing the Day of Reconciliation. How far have we come as a nation in terms of reconciling with our past? And to join us, to participate in this discussion, we've got Mr. Seth Mazibuko, who is the youngest member of the South African Students Organization that planned and led the Soweto uprising, and is also a former Robben Island prisoner, very vocal about the South African issues, I must say. And he's on hold now, and he joins us now. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome to the show. Mr. Mazibuko.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, I
can you hear me?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to also ask you the very same question that I've asked Mr. Nishan Bolton just before you, and I've also asked the listeners as well to share their thoughts on this as well. So what does the Day of Reconciliation mean for you as a South African?
Nothing.
Okay.
And to qualify your question,
Mm-hmm.
what does this day mean to me as a South African black person, and for that matter, African?
Mm-hmm.
Then I would say nothing. But ask that same question to a person who then owns the land and who happens to be white, and then he would say a lot. And ask that same question and say, who are actually the people who are begging for reconciliation? You'll find the answer that says it's mostly the very people who were oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Are the ones who are begging for reconciliation with people who oppressed them. You will ask the same question and say, who are the honorables in Parliament today? The honorables are your de Klerk. Your honorables are the people who never came forward to say, I am sorry for killing or for being part of the plan of murdering and killing black people in Soweto, in Gwalanga, in Gwanyanga, in the townships of Lenesia Lands and Eldorado Park and all those places. We are still waiting for that apology, my dear brother. Then we can start talking reconciliation. And we are talking about people who are resisting to even give the very land they have taken away from the indigenous people of Africa.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No problem.
So to me, you talk reconciliation, you are talking, let's start here. The date itself, date 16th of December, has such a strong heritage and history of the African people, right from the time when Dingaan fought the Voortrekkers and Peter Dief. And it has also the history of being the day in which Umkhonto weSizwe of the very ruling party was formed. It has the history of a black consciousness movement, BPC, being launched on this day. That history is deleted, my dear brother. That history is deleted. Instead, we've tried to be so reconciliation. To me, my brother, I'm sorry. It makes me angry. I'm still a bitter young man that was in 1976 when I went to jail.
So from your response, I take it that you don't believe we've achieved reconciliation as yet, correct?
Not.
Yeah. So
and reconciliation, my brother, is a program. When you talk reconciliation, when you have to say people need to reconcile, you don't go just on TV, on a commission, on a peace and reconciliation commission and do the act 1 scene 2 cut, people crying and everybody crying and leave it at that. You go into saying, let us have a structured program, structured with activities of trying to make it a point that now you start the program of reconciliation. And you identify specifics of what is it that we need to address so that then we can be able to speak and even do reconciliation.
Yeah, you mentioned identifying these specifics. So where do you think we have fallen short as a nation in terms of reconciling?
Okay, number one, in whose hands is this land? Number two, and where are the people who perpetrated hatred? Where are they? Are they not the ones in in what front? All of them in Parliament? Are they not the ones that you are in the Parliament is hugging and kissing with them? Are they not the one who said the other day apartheid was never that bad, or colonialism was not that bad in a form of Elenzile? Well, those not the people I'm asking. And don't you think that we need to educate those people to get them to understand the pain that we went through as those who were oppressed? To me, that is the program which does. Don't you think we've got to go back and review our constitution that gave us the sunset clause? Are we not at the stage now where we would say, thank you for 1994. Now it's time. Let's talk issues that can make us reconcile. Who are the people who, under COVID-19, staying in shacks, who cannot have water to wash their hands, are the same people that were oppressed. No, these are some of the, who are the homeless, my brother. I've just turned 60 on the 15th of June this year. But I can tell you, I hardly own a shelter. I don't own a shelter. I don't own anything, having stayed in Robben Island for years, having fought for this country. Yeah. Let us start addressing the issues that are pertinent in making people to reconcile.
So that leads me to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The South African Truth and Reconciliation Commission was set up by the Government of National Unity to help deal with what happened under apartheid. The conflict during this period resulted in violence and human rights abuses from all sides, and no section of society escaped these abuses. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission ran between 1996 and 2003. Do you think it done much to contribute towards achieving reconciliation?
My brother, if it's done much, you wouldn't be asking this question yourself. And let me tell you, it is because it has not done. I don't want to exaggerate and say nothing, but many of the people, the very people who went into the Truth and Reconciliation, I was listening to the minister in Tetra this morning on TV, and saying that now the government is even thinking of pursuing the people who did not apologize, pursuing them through courts and cases now in courts. I'm saying, do you only realize that now, 20-something years you've been in government? Is this the only time when you realize that we are so desperate for reconciliation? Is it now that you realize that peace and reconciliation has done this? I mean, really, my brother, you know, the thing is sometimes we become a country and a society that speaks from above, that has all these good terms, all these good documents, all these good policies. But do they really mean what they're supposed to mean? Do they really do what they're supposed to do? You'll find that now we lack, we are short. So to me, my brother, we should not be even asking the question that has peace and reconciliation done much. We should be evaluating and saying, this is what the peace and reconciliation has given us enough. We should be having people on this radio station. You should be having people who are saying, thanks to peace and reconciliation, this and that has happened. But to still having them come to this station and say, I'm still crying.
And I think the point which you mentioned about these policies being drawn up and remaining on paper and not making its way towards being implemented, I think that's a really serious issue which we find across when it comes to across the board when it comes to government resolutions, etc. And that leads me to the question of leadership. What do you think the leadership of the country post apartheid has done to achieve reconciliation? Do you think they've done anything? How much have they done? Where have they fallen short?
You know, I always have a problem that I knew that at some point that question might come. And I say this, my brother. You know, the leadership of this country has had one problem, that we are never held accountable. Never. We don't. Our people has been so much even mentally oppressed by the current party that they cannot even challenge, even when Mahashula say, I'm not stepping aside. Are you there?
Yeah.
Am I talking something to your mind now? Am I bringing something to you?
Yes,
No.
definitely.
These are the people who will not even take a decision about the Palestinian issue and act on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We need a decisive government. We need a decisive. That is why I argue and say, first thing that must be done in this country, or that was supposed to have been done after 1994. I'm sorry. It was supposed to be the change of the electoral system of this country. It means nothing to us. We don't choose the president of this country. So when the president says, Tumamina, send me, he's actually not saying you.
Yeah.
You should be sending him. He's saying, my party should be sending me, or my clique within my party should be sending me.
And you mentioned the need for a change in the electoral system. It's something that's being debated far and wide across the spectrum here in South Africa for quite some time now. Some people calling for change and of the electoral system. And I'm curious to find out from you now, since you mentioned it, how does this find relevance to achieving reconciliation?
You see, exactly. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
You see, the current system, electoral system, doesn't assist in the very reconciliation we're trying to create, because it speaks party more than people. Note, it speaks party more than people, and people contest on party ticket rather than on people's aspirations. Next year we're having elections. Local government elections. All the manifestos that will be coming up then will be party manifestos. I await a people's manifesto. I await a manifesto that will be born out of the town of Orlando East in Soweto, where I am as I'm speaking to you now. I'll be waiting to hear a manifesto that comes right from the ground of the people in Cape Town, in those shacks and dwellings. I will yet to wait for a manifesto that will come from the people of Lenasia Lands, Freedom Park, East Rand. I can count whatever. I'm originally from Durban. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. So I was going to say from Umazi, from many townships that come from there.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that the current electoral system doesn't assist in itself to bring out a system of governance that can be able to allow accountability, and not only allow accountability, and then that can also be able to assist in getting us to look at each other as Africans, but not look at each other as a party.
All right. Mr. Mazibuko, just before we wrap up, we do have a caller calling us from Mayfair. So let's just take this call. Good morning to the caller. Thank you so much for calling. What does Reconciliation Day mean to you as a South African?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know what? I come from 12th Avenue, Alexander Township.
Okay.
How's that? And from there, we had aunties from Kliptown, because I had family that stayed in Kliptown. And then from there, we went to Cape Town. So we know a lot of the different side of South Africa, Went to UDF And then from UDF, we got Madiba of the island, we got ANC unbanned. Now the thing is this, when you talk of reconciliation, man, just think of Madiba's inauguration. All the people that came there and everyone that came from the whole of Africa and where you can't even get the list together. And that was reconciliation on a grand scale. And the world, they still haven't seen another one like that in the whole world. Now you talk of the people of Kliptown and so on. It's strange. Nkulumise Zulu, talk English, Afrikaans, and that proper Afrikaans also, because I worked in Vereniging there amongst the Boere there. And let me tell you, the day then we talked about this thing of South Africa coming right, I spoke to them of these AWB guys, and we were sitting in the office there, and they had beards and everything. I said, look, what if they turned around and make South Africa a Muslim country? The guy said to me, we'll just put a fez on because we got the beards already. They had a sense of humor, So the other thing is reconciliation came even better when we won the World Cup. Everything was okay. Everybody rushed outside, greeted who and who. Now today we've got Sia Kolisi and we've won the World Cup again. Look at how far we've come, So if anyone still bears grudges after seeing the South Africans, how they can pull themselves together and really, amount to people that can show the whole world playing rugby on a field with so many different countries and show them that reconciliation and see where we are now. A person who still bears grudges today, I think he's really got to do some soul searching.
All right, Uncle Ibrahim from Mayfair, thank you so much for calling in this morning, and we do value your contribution to the discussion as well. But unfortunately, that's where we are going to have to leave it for this morning. And I'd love to continue this discussion, but we've got to take to move on to the newsroom at Radio Al Ansar as well at 10 a.m. So we are going to have to wrap up here. And thank you so much for your time, Mr. Seth Mazibuko. Right, it seems we've lost Mr. Seth Mazibuko. Anyway, it is already 1 minute to 11 a.m. So let's leave it for at that. It seems we've still got a long way to go in terms of reconciliation, and it's going to take a collective effort to achieve reconciliation as a nation. But that's where we are going to have to leave it for this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning and for your contribution as well, your comments, your calls as well. Thank you so much for that. We do look forward to interacting with you at all times. We'll keep this conversation off air. Thank you so much for your time. From myself, Zahid Jalud, and the team, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Massive explosions have rocked Lebanon. Homes destroyed, hundreds of people missing, and many more have passed on. Over 300,000